Hi, Leah.
Hi, Kamna.
We
What's going
have, well, not too much. It's been kind of quiet, so I'm happy, but I'm a little nervous,
on?
but
Okay.
I'll take it.
All right.
What about you?
I'm same. I'll say the same for me. A little nervous that it's a little quiet,
Yeah.
but it's technically not May yet for us. I mean, when we're recording, so May is just nuts.
Yes, yes.
So
May is
I'm not.
nuts.
It's not looking forward to the craziness of May. But what do we got going on today?
We are interviewing Ashley. She has lost weight through gastric sleeve surgery. She is from Boardman, Ohio. She has married her high school sweetheart, which is when someone tells me that, it just like makes my heart all
I know.
warm. She moved here to the Cleveland area. I don't know where Boardman is, but 12 years ago.
Yeah, I
She has
don't.
4 kids and she works from home. She runs some of her local youth sports programs as well as coaching basketball in her free time, which I don't know how you would have
She
free
doesn't
time with
have free
four
time. She has
kids.
four
Yeah.
kids. Right. Right.
So welcome, Ashley.
Welcome,
Thank
welcome.
you guys. Thank you.
Thank
So
you so much for talking to us because, we just obviously have questions about everything and we want to know about your experience too.
mhm.
Absolutely. I'm an open book, so hit me with it.
Oh gosh, where do you want to start, Kamna? Go ahead.
Well, tell us, how much weight have you lost?
This time around, through gastric sleeve surgery, I've lost 80 pounds so far.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
amazing.
I have about 45 to go, and then I'll be at my comfortable weight.
Okay. All right. When you say
What?
comfortable, does that mean you have like five goal lights in your head?
Um, no, that's kind of like my last step.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I would say I'll be pretty darn comfortable in about 20 pounds,
Okay.
but 45 would be good health wise, to stay there forevermore. So,
Is this a number that you came up with or a doctor suggested or?
actually my doctor just asked me what number I wanted before I started the surgery process, and he agreed that it was a good number and a good place for me to be health wise, and so that's kind of what we based it off of.
They didn't go by a BMI at all.
No.
I
Mm-mm.
like that already.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, if you're somebody who's gotten all the way to gastric surgery, you, I'm sure, have a lot of skin and things left over after you're done losing weight. So at that point, going by a BMI would be totally not,
Right.
it
Good
wouldn't work.
point. I didn't even think of that. Great
I
point.
didn't either.
No, the reason
Wow.
I asked you that is because I feel like most women I talk to, we have a naked weight we want to be, a clothed weight we want to be, a weight at the doctor's that we want to be. We call it a hate number, like a number you never want to see. Like we have all of these numbers rolling around in our head, and I think that sometimes we have to decipher which one is, like you said, your comfort weight. I like that terminology.
Yeah, it's where I know that I was before at one point, and when I was there, I was super comfortable in my own skin. I had a lot of energy. Um, yeah, so I just felt healthy and good, and I'd love to be there again.
Okay.
So speaking of that, how about we let's first find out about you. Who are you? What do you do? Tell us a little bit about your life currently.
Well, I'm 41 years old. I work from home, running a pampering company. We promote lots of self-care and being good to ourselves, talking nicely to ourselves, and doing things for ourselves, mind, body, and spirit. Um, and so it was time to physically, even though I can't say I've ever totally neglected myself because I've always cared about my weight and cared and made effort to eat healthy and exercise. Um, but it was time to really take the reins and say, okay, enough's enough. I got to figure this out. Um, it had been 20 years of weight fluctuations and struggles, and it was time to take the bull by the horns. So,
Mhm.
Wow.
um, day to day, I get up at 5:30 in the morning and get my kids off to school, which takes no less than 3.5 hours. I'm not kidding. The last one gets off, I drop her off at 9 a.m. and then I get to start my day, and the first one gets home at 2:15. So my day is really only about 4.5, 5 hours. and then starts with the after school homework and nonstop activities. And with 4 kids, and they're all involved in a lot of extracurriculars, it's go, go, go all evening until about 9:30, and then we start shutting down for the night. So that's
So
what
you're in Leah's camp with waking up early.
Yeah, but I like it. I don't know. Do you like it?
Mm-mm.
I
No.
know.
Okay.
We are from 2 different camps. No, I do not like waking up early at all. I despise it. My kids call me a mombi because I am a walking zombie in the morning. I drive to the bus stop for my first kid every morning at 6:25 because I am still in a robe and haven't I'm like still in refusal mode that I'm starting my day. I pack lunches in silence. Thank goodness he's nice and quiet in the morning and we don't have to talk much. And then I get him to the bus stop and then I start actually waking myself up. So
Oh, you're my kind of people. I
I
like
know.
it.
yes, I am not a morning person. I don't love morning. I would much rather be up till midnight and sleep until 7 or 8 and then start my day.
Yeah.
So when do you remember, when's your earliest memory of having a weight problem, weight issue, and unhappiness with your weight?
Honestly, I remember being a kid and feeling, I guess maybe around 10 or 12, noticing that some of the other girls, some of my friends were bone thin, and I was never like that. I wasn't heavy, I wasn't overweight, but I was never like that. I was physical, I played a ton of sports, so I was always on the thicker, muscular, my mom used to say grounded side. I was grounded. No strong wind was going to blow me over. And there were times I was comfortable with that and times that I was like, why can't I just be skinny? And, I'd see some of my friends eat, especially through high school, like they were never going to get to see food again. And they'd never put on a pound. And I felt like if I even looked at food, it was instantly on my hips. So I'd say by the time I was in high school, that's when it affected me enough to stop eating. I struggled with, if I'm going to gain weight every time I eat, I'm just not going to eat. And so throughout my freshman, sophomore, junior years of high school, I avoided food as much as possible just so that I could maintain being at that time, I think about 120 to 130 pounds during that time in my life. And then I met my husband.
Wait, so you were obsessed with food? Would you not eating food, but obsessed with food in general? Like, what kind of food is going to be there? Should I not go because of the food? How do I stay away from the food? Like that kind of obsessed?
Not quite there yet,
Okay.
but at that point it was just more like I convinced myself I wasn't hungry and just avoid. It was kind of a mind over matter thing. And
so what would you eat in the day? Or
I didn't want my mom to know that I was struggling with it. And my sister would come find me at lunch sometimes. We went to the same high school, and then she'd go rat on me if I wasn't eating anything at school. So I'd skip breakfast, and then at school I would buy a salad or a bagel or something and have a bite or two and toss it. But I didn't want to get in trouble for not eating and being afraid to eat. So mostly what I ate was dinner because that was in front of my parents and that was with the family. So for the most part, I ate dinner, but it was always small portions and avoided as much as I could.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was a junior in high school, my husband and I started dating, and he was a 19-year-old boy, and he ate like he was never going to see food again. And he had the metabolism that I had always dreamed to have. And I was very comfortable around him, and we would eat together. And then within 30 minutes, an hour, he'd be like, I'm hungry. What are we going to eat? And it was always like, are you kidding? We just ate. And after a while, it started to wear off on me, and I just got more and more comfortable. And so by the time I graduated high school, I weighed 138 pounds. So I had gained like 15 to 20 pounds and was mortified. I couldn't believe I had let that happen to myself. And then it was time for college. I moved out, into an apartment, and that's when life got really crazy. I started working full time and going to college full time, and then having an apartment for the first time. So taking care of my place. And at that point, I didn't leave time for taking care of myself at all. I went from playing sports and doing all kinds of stuff to not getting any exercise at all, and kind of putting my health on the back burner. And then, of course, in college, you try to eat for cheap.
Right.
So I bought like those Lipton noodle packets and mashed potatoes and ate those like 5 nights a week for dinner, because it was easy and quick and inexpensive. So very quickly, I gained a lot of weight, probably close to 100 pounds in about 2 years, I'd say, maybe even less than 2 years. And it just kind of spiraled. And then at that point, that's when it started the whole battle for the next 2 decades of doing another diet, and then losing some weight, and then hitting a plateau, and then quitting, and then cycling back over and over again. At least once a year, I would have a new eating plan, do it for like 6 months, quit for like 4 months, gain the weight back plus another 10 pounds every time, and then start again. So it was pretty cyclical for literally almost 2 decades.
What have you tried?
The first thing I ever tried was Weight Watchers. I did Jenny Craig. I did Physicians Weight Loss. I went to see a nutritionist and worked through a dietitian. I did a workout program called Curves, which was real popular back then in the 90s.
I did that. Yeah.
And then I did, oh my gosh, the Atkins diet, South Beach diet, the Whole30, you name it, I did it.
So in your experience, what was it that, like, you tried all these things and these are the ones that work, in quotes, right?
Right.
What was it that caused you to, I don't know, I don't want to be judgmental in my words, but like to fall off and then gain weight back?
What would happen is they would work for a few months. I would follow them, like by the book, and I'd lose weight the first couple of months, and it'd be like, okay, I'm good, this is going well. And then I would hit a plateau, even though I was doing all the things that I was supposed to be doing, for months at a time. And it would just become incredibly overwhelming. Like, man, you still have another 70 pounds to lose, and you haven't lost anything for 3 months, and you've been starving for 6 months. And so I can't do it anymore. I have to eat. I'm so hungry. I have to eat. I'm miserable. It's all I can think about. And the only time I didn't feel like that is about 10 years ago. I took Adipex, which is phentermine, through my doctor. And it was prescribed, you take it for 3 months at a time. It's a weight loss drug. And then you have to get off of it for 6 months. And then you can take it another 3 months because it's highly addictive. Works like a charm. It was the only time in my life I didn't think about food, because it really made me not hungry at all. So food would sit in front of me, or I'd cook and make food for other people, and it was like not even remotely appetizing. So the weight fell off. But during that time, I didn't really learn how to eat and how to feed myself the right way. And so as soon as I got off of it, my weight skyrocketed right back up. And I mean, within 48 hours of stopping the med, I was starving again and eating nonstop, and I've never felt like I could be full. Like, it was always like my full button was broken or something.
Oh, I know that feeling. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine what you must have gone through and how it must have felt to try these things and think you found a solution, and then again you're almost back to square one or square zero. I don't know wherever you ended up, but that had to be super frustrating.
It was incredibly frustrating. Yes, many bouts of frustration, many tears, many questions of why. Like, why does this happen to me? I care. I do try to do the right thing. I try to eat healthy. I try to exercise. You know, I look around and I see other people that never exercise, and they don't care about what they put in their body. They drink pop and drink alcohol, eat fast food. And those are things that were all, even when I was gaining weight, those were on my no list. Like those were just never something that I did, because I knew if I did do those things, I'd gain even more weight. So it already felt like, gosh, if I'm already prioritizing protein and already eating fruit and vegetables and doing all the things that I'm supposed to do, and it's not working, then it was just kind of stamina. It was like, all right, I'm done then. I can't give this any more thought and effort if it's not going to reap any rewards.
Do you ever think there wasn't a time in your adult life where you weren't thinking about dieting or food or macros or?
The only time was when I took that medication. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've through all of this, you mentioned the doctor. You've always been having conversations with your doctor about it and getting. Were you ever at this point where you're like, find something? Is something wrong with my thyroid? Is my metabolism broken? Like, find something wrong with me.
100%. Yes. And I honestly, to this day, I still firmly believe there's something wrong. Hormones, it was almost like once hormones kicked in, you know, I never thought that I would be a skinny, scrawny type of gal or have that type of frame, but I wasn't overweight as a kid. And so it was strange to me that I kind of hit puberty, and then I started this battle with food. And if I ate, I gained. And then I was just never full. I was always hungry. So yeah, I've always felt like there is something going on. I've had just your generic blood work done. My metabolism, my thyroid is always on the border of being underactive, but it's not in the red. It's still in the green by just a hair. So it was never something that was talked about to take any kind of medication for that or to help that in any way other than doing things like exercising and natural things to boost your metabolism.
What did the doctors say to you? Did they have an answer for you, or they say, oh, just work out and eat less and you're going to lose weight?
Yeah, to be completely honest with you, there were a few doctors along the way that were that would say things like, oh, well, you must be having donuts, you must be having this or that.
How rude.
Yeah. And although that is true at times, I would never say I never ate something unhealthy. That was not my norm. That wasn't how I fed myself day to day. So it felt very like, oh, this person can't possibly understand because they've clearly never dealt with the same thing. So even though they're a doctor and they have a medical book telling them what it should be, this isn't what it is. And so it was definitely hard to get physicians to understand. Even my current doctor, who I absolutely love, she's wonderful. When I sat and talked to her at one point and expressed frustrations because I was back at the doctor and had gained weight, you know, for a sinus infection or something, and she commented that, you know, we really have to get my weight down. And I was like, I know, I'm trying. And she gave me an example of how, and during dinner time the previous week, she was making dinner and cutting up mangoes while she was making dinner. And before she knew it, she realized she had eaten a whole big bowl of mango, and then was like, nope, I don't need dinner. I'm good because I had all this mango. And I sat there thinking, I can't even imagine, no matter how big the bowl of mango was, feeling satisfied and able to not consume dinner after that. God bless her. Great for her, not me. So again, in that position of thinking, you know, and again, God bless her, she probably weighs 95 pounds soaking wet. She's the tiniest thing in the world. But all I could think is, oh my gosh, you have no clue. You have no clue.
Right.
But when I told her finally that I was interested in looking into surgical options, she was super supportive. And, you know, there's a 50-50 shot here, but you're young and you give effort, you understand what is and isn't are or aren't good choices for yourself and your body, and it's worth a shot. So
how did you even, sorry, go ahead.
What do you mean by she said there's a 50-50 shot? What does that mean?
That 50% of her patients that she's had go down that path have been successful and have
Okay.
lost weight and kept it off, and the other 50% have not.
Okay.
How
Okay.
did you get the idea to do a gastric sleeve?
It's a little bit less invasive than gastric bypass,
Okay.
and it's not restructuring the way that your body works and digests food. So the biggest concern for me personally with gastric bypass is that you no longer digest food in the same way that your body was designed to digest food. And so there are people that, their hair falls out and it never comes back because their body isn't able to absorb the vitamins and nutrients from their food. It has caused some people like obstructions in their digestive systems, and it can cause issues. Not saying it's not great for many people. Some people have had wonderful success with it, but gastric sleeve surgery is a little bit less invasive because all it really does is it takes your kidney shape stomach and cuts off that ballooned out part of your stomach so that your stomach is like a sleeve when they're done. So nutrients and things like that don't get digested, don't get absorbed as easily as they do while they sit in a regular person's stomach who hasn't had surgery. But it still goes through the same process. So it does still get absorbed to a certain extent. So for me, I lost a ton of hair after surgery. A massive amount of hair. I tried my best to hide it, but it was getting so bad that I didn't want to go in public because it was terrible. But it has grown back times 1,000. So it's thicker now, I think, than it's ever been. And I've got pieces that are about this long all over my head that I try to slick down, and it just wants to foof my hair right up. Yeah. Makes me look like a troll every morning when I wake up.
So when you had the procedure, first of all, is it an outpatient or do they keep you overnight?
For me, it was 3 days in the hospital.
Okay.
How long is the procedure?
I believe it was about 2.5 hours.
Okay.
And then when you go home, did they give you guidance of how to eat, or did you notice any changes immediately, or was it like
So
you were trying to
Wait,
do the same things?
Wait, I think we should go backwards a little bit because I
Oh,
think we
okay.
should go like, do they make you do certain things before you're qualified for the surgery? Are they like,
Good
okay,
question.
how do I know you're not just coming in here and you're just gonna hope this is like a magic fix? Because it's not magic. It's still hard. It's still a ton of work, and it's a long road still. So what
Good
does
point.
that look like?
So for most people, there has to be documentation that you've been meeting with professionals to try to help you to lose weight for
Okay.
X amount of time. Some insurance companies require that you lose X amount of weight before they'll do the surgery. For me, my insurance didn't cover it at all. It wouldn't even touch it. So regardless of any prerequisites. And I had been working with a nutritionist for about 8 months prior to the day that I decided I was definitely having the surgery. And so I didn't have to jump through the same hoops that most people would do because I was paying out of pocket. And at that time, my doctor was 100% comfortable signing off on the recommendation, given the fact that I had been working with her and working with a nutritionist and an exercise physiologist for so long. So she signed off, and then I chose a surgeon and met with him, and he was super thorough, explained everything. I can't recommend him more. He was great. I typically, after the surgery, patients would meet with their team a lot. They'd meet with their surgeon, they'd meet with their nutritionist, I believe they'd even meet with exercise physiologists. In addition, Cleveland Clinic offers like monthly meetings and kind of like
Support groups?
Yeah, they're support groups of sorts. They're like 3-on-1, one professional and 3 patients
Okay.
type things. I did do some of those appointments, but once the ones that I paid for, that were paid for in the bulk pay, were done, I haven't seen them since because I didn't want to pay out of pocket for any more appointments.
Right.
So, and so far, knock on wood, I'm being successful at staying on track for the most part. But I am like, I've got my old nutritionist on speed dial and I'm ready to call her at any time and say, oh, I need help.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so basically you had to have your primary care doctor say she has tried everything, and you had to have proof from a dietitian, and then present that to the surgeon before he would
Yeah.
kind
And then they make you see a psychiatrist too, a
Oh,
nutrition
okay.
psychiatrist, to make sure that you're in the right headspace and that they want to bank on the fact that you're mentally ready and able to handle the challenges that are going to come your way.
Mhm. Okay. So you're in the hospital, so after you had your procedure, you were in the hospital. Were you in pain? Like, you wake up, are you in pain, or is it
Yes, it was
Okay.
it was pretty terrible actually.
Okay.
I would 10 out of 10 recommend it, but at the same time, at that moment, I was like, oh my gosh. Um, it was actually my kids' first day of school last year, so I missed their first day of school,
Okay.
which was mentally and emotionally bothersome. Um, my husband got him off to school and then came right up to the hospital to hang with me.
Mhm.
But yes, pain. There's 6 incisions in your abdomen that are made, and then they do it laparoscopically. And parts of it are done robotically, actually, as well.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, pretty fascinating. And the incisions healed nicely. The doctor did a great job. But yeah, it was a lot of discomfort, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Pain pills, I was on pain pills for about a week. And
Okay.
then past that, I was able to handle it with just Tylenol. Once you have surgery, you can't take any NSAIDs, no more
Mhm.
ibuprofen, things like that. So
For
Tylenol
forever?
forever. Yeah.
Okay.
The other changes that are forever changes are you have to take vitamins forevermore,
Okay.
um, because your food just doesn't sit in your stomach as long as it used to. So your body doesn't have enough time to absorb those nutrients just through
Okay.
your food. So you have to take vitamins forevermore. And that's really about it. Um, Prior to the day of surgery, my doctor required a 2-week liquid diet only, liquid
Oh,
only diet, which was supposed to consist of 3 protein shakes a day, in addition to like chicken broth, sugar-free jello, popsicles, things like that. I didn't tolerate the protein shakes though at all.
mhm.
So I couldn't drink those, which meant that I just didn't eat for those 2 weeks, with the exception of chicken broth and jello. So I lost quite a bit of weight during those 2 weeks. And then had the surgery. And then for the 2 weeks after, again, you can't eat. It's liquid only. But again, I couldn't do the protein shakes. They made me super sick.
All
And
protein shakes, or was there a certain kind?
all of them, I spent like, I'm gonna say close to $1,000 on
Wow.
different flavors and different brands, and whey protein, plant-based protein, soy protein, the Gatorade proteins, like everything you could imagine. They even have like bariatric protein shots. And I was
Mhm.
like, okay, if I could just shoot this real quick, I could
Yeah.
do it when I'm 21. I can do it now. No, I couldn't. It
Did you
was
get
terrible.
sick or did you?
Yes, I couldn't get it to go down. It would just come right back up.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just wasn't an option. So given that I didn't consume any protein or food for 4 weeks, I felt pretty lousy. I was super weak, super tired, um, and just overall didn't feel well at all.
Were
And
you
at that time,
were
I was
you
like,
like Sorry, go ahead.
I was like, I don't know if this was a good idea. Maybe this was a mistake.
Okay.
And of course, you can't go anywhere. You've just had surgery. You can't go anywhere. You can't see your people or do all the things that you normally do. It's a big surgery. You're like 6 weeks of pretty much out of commission. Um, I think I stayed down for about 2 full weeks. Once I started being able to have a little bit of food, like a bite of an egg and things like that, it gave me all the energy I needed, and
Mm,
pretty quickly I started to feel more normal.
wow. So how
Okay.
long do you think it was until you felt, quote, normal?
It's really hard to say. The first 3 months were very hard because your food is very restricted still as well. So you can only eat protein. I believe that was for the first 12 weeks. And then after 12 weeks, you could add in vegetables, like cooked vegetables. And then when you got to 6 months, you could add in fruit and other
Oh.
carbs slowly and just in small amounts.
So when you say the first 6 weeks or whatever, I'm sorry, 6 weeks you said was protein only?
Yeah, like 12 weeks actually.
Okay, so did that mean like you couldn't even put cheese on something? Like was that just like boiled chicken or grilled
Um, yeah,
or
it was. It was like
yeah,
tuna. I ate a lot
yeah,
of tuna or chicken.
and not with mayonnaise or anything in it?
You could put dips. You could use some dips. They had to
Okay.
be, if you eat anything high in fat though at that time, you're susceptible to dumping syndrome, which is when your body can't handle that amount of fat at one time. And so it's going to come out one way or another. So you have to introduce everything in super small amounts and super slowly. It's like learning to eat again. It's like starting from scratch
Wow.
and seeing what your body will tolerate.
Okay, so you have 4 kids. Were you crabby during this whole time?
I was cranky for that 4 weeks. For the 2 weeks
Yeah.
before surgery and the 2 weeks after surgery, I know I was pretty cranky.
Yeah.
Um, my husband was super patient, and I did have to keep reminding myself, we did this for the long haul, and this is all for a good reason. I want to finish raising my kids. I want to have grandkids. I want to be active. Um, you asked what kind of pushed me to get the surgery, and it was a culmination of things, but I had played softball a few years ago, and between that season after I played and the following season when I was being asked if I was going to come back, I had put on like 30 pounds. And I remember thinking about how hard the season before that was, having gained so much weight. And all I could think of is, with an additional 30 pounds, there's no way. And what if I give myself a heart attack and then I can't finish
Right.
raising my kids, all because I wanted to play softball? And then that's kind of when the light bulb moment went off, like, okay, this is, at this point, it's debilitating. At this point, it's affecting your life. It's always affected me mentally, but I never really let it affect me physically. And at that point, it was like, no, it's now, I can't deny it anymore. So
So now you're what, 8, 9 months out of surgery? How long has it been?
8 months.
8 months.
Yep.
And you've lost 80 pounds, you've said.
Yeah.
Has it come off pretty quickly?
It did at first. I lost 40 pounds in the first month.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. But then after that, what will happen is I'll stall for like 4-ish weeks, and then I'll just hurry up and lose 5, 6, 7 pounds like overnight. And then I stall again for a lengthy period of
Did
time.
they
And
tell you
I'll,
that would be the pattern? Or is that your body?
it's mine. They said
Okay.
everybody is different. It just depends on your genetic makeup and the way that your body handles it.
Okay.
And mine seems to kind of like cling on and hang on. And then all of a sudden I wake up and I'm like,
Oh,
okay, which is fascinating because perhaps had I waited for a longer length of time, each time I would plateau during all those years of dieting, maybe it would have my body finally would have caught up. I don't know, but I didn't give it that chance because it felt like it took forever and my body
right.
just wasn't responding.
Right. Okay, so so do you have to eat a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of like, do you watch your macros very carefully?
So the only thing that they really have you watch is my doctor, every doctor's different, but is your protein. You have to have a minimum of 65 grams of protein a day.
Okay.
And then past that, I personally watch my carbs. I try never to go over 100 carbs. I prefer to be much lower, but even when I'm, having a day where I feel like I really need carbs, I still try to make it under 100.
Okay.
Ideally under 50, but there are days that I definitely go over 50.
What about water? Can you just drink tons of water, or?
Water is the only thing I drink. I add like Crystal Light packets to it just to make it fun. But yeah, just water, lemon water, regular water, Crystal Light water, just lots of water.
Are you quote unquote allowed to have pop and stuff like that, or not supposed to?
You can't have carbonated beverages.
Okay.
Because they fill your stomach with air and expand. And the whole purpose is to keep that stomach as nice and tight and lean as possible.
Oh, so you can, that's another thing that you should never have.
Correct.
So
Have I had a sip or two of Diet Coke?
Yeah.
Yes. My husband drinks Diet Coke. So once in a blue moon, I'll say, oh my God, I just need a taste. But honestly, I quit drinking Diet Coke probably 10 years ago. So it really wasn't a big deal.
Okay.
How do you think your eating has changed?
Believe it or not, my eating isn't all that different. It's just a lot less.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Consume a lot less food. I get full. We had tacos for dinner last night. And I made myself a crunchy taco with chicken and peppers in it. And I was full, like completely full after one taco. Whereas prior to this, I would have eaten 3 or 4 tacos before I was full.
Right.
Wow.
Wow.
And on that same note, I always prioritize protein. So sometimes I don't get to the other foods. If, for instance, if I'm busy and I just grab a pack of turkey pepperoni for lunch, sometimes I'll just keep munching on that to get me through to dinner. And then I never end up with any other food than the turkey pepperoni. So it's just, whereas if before surgery, I always ate turkey pepperoni, but I would eat it on a wrap with lettuce and mayonnaise, and I'd have fruit on the side. And I just don't get to those other foods because I'm full from what I've already eaten.
You were talking about that mental piece of getting frustrated, not feeling full, all of those things that happened. Is it different now, or do you still struggle with some of those issues?
It's definitely better.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely better because, when you're full, you're full.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to finally feel full.
Yeah.
But there are still moments. I run concessions for our flag football program. And so when I'm in there for 9 hours and I'm surrounded by candy and,
hot dogs, pizza,
popcorn, yeah, all the things. Am I able to say no to like a hot dog on a bun with ketchup and mustard? Yeah, but am I gonna have a hot dog with a little bit of chili on it and mustard and eat that while I'm sitting there? Yes. Were there days that I also ate some candy? There sure were. But I typically don't surround myself with stuff like that. We don't have that type of stuff in our house, but honestly, we never did. We didn't before surgery either. My children are, they love to eat. I grew up in an Italian family. We eat, we celebrate around food. We're always around food. We all love to cook. I love cooking. I love feeding people. I love having people over and feeding them and seeing people's bellies full and them happy. So the key sometimes for me is just to not to be around the excess, because I just don't need it. It's not bringing me joy at this point in my life.
So
I
just want to back up and to ask and maybe you don't want to ask or answer this. Did your mom, sisters, brothers, family, did they have weight problems? Or
not like me.
okay.
I would say some of my family has struggled with weight, you know, maybe 20 to 25 pounds, not 100, 125 pounds. So
Gotcha.
totally different ballgame.
Okay.
I was going to ask you that. I can just imagine in my extended family, people would have comments like, "Oh, you can't eat this because you had this," or,
Oh,
"Oh, it's not allowed," or like just little, not digs, but little comments. Do you find that, or is everybody like, "Rah, rah, go you"?
Um, it's a little bit of both.
mhm.
I know that people super close to me have seen my struggle in a pretty raw way over the last couple decades. So I know that most of my family felt like if this is what I was resorting to, this is what I needed to do, because
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
clearly couldn't get a handle on it in all the other ways that I attempted to. But I did have acquaintances, friends say some strange off the wall things like, "Oh my gosh, you don't need to do that. No, you're fine. Don't do that. Please. Do you know about all the people that have had," and then they start listing all of the issues that people have. And I'm like, when I tell you that my surgery is next week, that means I've been in the planning process for a year. Like, now is not the time to tell me all the horror stories of the people that you know who lost 100
Yeah.
pounds and then gained 200 pounds, or
Yeah.
that never worked, or that, you know, throw up 5 times a day for the rest of their life. Like, those are not helping right now.
Right. So do you exercise now? I mean, I know you did before, but do you have like a routine
So
now?
yes and no.
Okay.
Um, so my routine before surgery and after is to get 70,000 steps a week. So aim for 10,000 steps a day.
Okay.
And if I don't hit it on a certain day, make it up the next day.
I like
Or
that so much. Oh my gosh, I'm going to steal that.
I honestly, I love it because I feel like there's no excuse I can give myself not to get my steps in.
No, but
Like,
if you say for the week, there's some
right.
adjustment that can happen.
It's absolutely, it gives you grace. So if you're not feeling well on a day, or you've got a ton of work to catch up on and you just don't have
Mhm.
the energy at the end of the day, but then you can plan the next day to get up early and start your walk,
Right.
at least get in one walk before you do all the other things, and then, you know, get it in throughout the day. So that is one aspect of it. And then the other aspect is to lift, to strength train 3 days a week. So that
Uh,
is what I do, but I would be lying to say that it's like, you know,
yeah.
clockwork. It's not. It ebbs and flows. There are times that I'm like super religious about it. And
Mhm.
then there are times that life gets a little wonky and I'm like, I just can't right now and I'll get back to it. And before, I used to be really hard on myself about making those kind of choices, and I'm really not anymore. Um, I've I figure that every time I make a decision like showing up for myself at the gym, getting my steps in, all those things, I should be proud of myself for those moments, not
Yeah.
angry at myself for the moments that I don't make that a
Good.
priority.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's
Great
such a
point.
good, yeah.
Yeah.
You should be proud of what you're doing and not angry for what you're not doing.
Yeah. Because I think we all expect so much out of ourselves,
Yeah.
more than anyone else does. Nobody expects all those things that you expect
Yeah.
out of yourself, out of you, except you.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy that we beat ourselves up about, you know, when I look at my last week and a half has been off. My work life has been insane, amazing, but insane. So is that an excuse? It's not an excuse, but it's a reason
Right.
why the mental load was enough, and my job is at a desk for the most part. And so did I get my steps in all the way last week? Nope, I didn't. Will I this week? Yep. Just is what it
Yeah.
is. So
Right.
Wow.
Um, as we wrap up, I would really love to know, how do you think this has changed your life?
um hmm. It's changed it in the fact that I don't have to think about food 24/7 anymore. Um,
Yeah.
Okay.
which I love. I never wanted to think
So
about food.
are you not as hungry?
I'm hungry, but I'm full so fast
Okay.
that it like lunch doesn't have to be lunch anymore. It can literally be a bag of turkey pepperoni or some beef jerky or whatever it is to get my protein goals in for the day.
How much do
And
you aim for?
no less than 65 grams a day.
Okay. Okay.
And when I'm really doing, 3 solid days of strength training and stuff, I try to go for 80 to 90.
Okay.
But it just depends on what that week is like, but definitely no less than 65. So I feel like it's better in that way. I'm definitely a lot more comfortable in my skin than I had been for a while. Just everyday tasks are easier when you're not carrying around an extra 80 pounds.
Yeah. So if you notice the difference in like even just like going up your stairs or parking at the grocery store or something like.
Absolutely. And it's funny because, when you're super overweight, one of the places you hate to go is the gym, because you can't help but think everyone around you is thinking, my Lord, she should have got here 5 years ago, because there's an issue. But it's so interesting because when I would walk, I would be drenched in sweat when I was walking at like a 2.5 for like I'd probably usually do about 3 miles on the treadmill. So I'd be walking at like a 2.5. I'd be totally drenched in sweat, hard to have a conversation during it. And now I go to the gym on the same treadmill and walk 3 miles at a 3.3, and I could sing a song while I'm doing it. And so, believe it or not, it's interesting because you almost feel like more successful, yet I was working 10 times harder.
Yeah.
8 months ago or a year ago. So the effort I was putting in was 10 times the effort that I'm having to put in now. It's not no effort by any means, but when you go to the gym, it's a lot easier to do those tasks than it was with an 80-pound ruck vest on, because that's essentially what it's like. I used to do CrossFit, and that's always what I like assimilated to. It's like carrying around a ruck vest with you 24/7.
If you could go back, would you do it again?
100%. The only thing I wish I would have done it sooner.
Oh.
I was kind of scared that it was cheating, so to speak. As silly as that sounds, you're kind of made to feel like, oh, if you have surgery, that's totally cheating. You didn't lose the weight on your own. You didn't, put in the effort. But that couldn't be further from the truth. It is still daily effort. It's daily being conscious of what you're putting in your mouth. It's constantly refocusing and getting back on track, tracking what you eat in your app, making sure you meet your goals, making sure you're staying active. It doesn't stop. Truly the only thing that changed is that when I eat now, I get full faster.
So, I don't want to keep you, we want to be respectful of your time, but do you in the future, maybe long term, have plans to remove skin?
I would love to. That's a whole nother topic that I have a little bit of mom guilt about that. I told myself that if I did the surgery and we paid out of pocket for the surgery, that we were doing it for the benefit of my whole family. Yes, it was directly benefiting me, but if something happens to me because of my weight issues, my husband's going to be alone with 4 kids, and that's not going to be good.
Right. And you want to be a present parent and be at the games, be the coach and be the volunteer and do all of that. Right.
So with skin surgery, you don't have that aspect. It is truly just for your own benefit. It's not for the benefit of anyone else. And God forbid anything happen during that surgery to me, that there's part of me that's overwhelmed with that idea. On the other hand, I hope to have arm surgery one day. I've always had large arms. Like I said, I was in a lot of sports. I played a lot of sports. I had big biceps growing up, and now it's just a lot of skin. And so I haven't worn a tank top, a sleeveless shirt, or dress in over 20 years. So I would love to be able to be comfortable wearing a sleeveless dress or a tank top. And so I often think about maybe one day when I get to my goal that I will have that taken care of so I can be comfortable again. So
you are so relatable, and all the things you say even in some degree, I think I resonated with it. I think Leah resonated with it. I think other people resonate because these are struggles that many of us face.
Mhm.
And your solution was probably different than maybe some people's, but it worked for you and it is working for you.
Mhm.
And I think that is the point.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not shy about it. I've had a lot of people ask, like, do you talk about it in front of other people, or when I was having surgery? A lot of my family asked, like, well, what do you want us to tell so and so? Or and I'm like, you tell them. I like
I
prior
admire
to
that about you so much. I there's so many things I could list about how what I admire in you. But that is really something that you've never shied away from it, and I just think that's admirable, like, 'cause
oh,
there's so
thank
many people that you're helping, and there's so many people that have these questions, and they don't know they don't wanna ask somebody, and I love that you're just, "Ask me, I'm open book about it," and I think that's amazing. I think that's a gift that you can give people. I do.
thank you. I feel like, prior to the surgery, I didn't want a ton of people to know because I didn't want the horror stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the very few people that knew, the stories came flooding in, and I was like, Lord, I do not want to hear all this.
Yeah.
But the second, I was in the hospital ready to have it, I'm like, tell the world, I don't care.
Mhm.
Because honestly, I figured if I fail and I don't lose the weight, or I do lose some weight and gain weight or whatever, then people will know, yeah, I'm still struggling with it. And I don't anticipate weight ever being something that I don't feel like I have to conquer.
Mhm.
I imagine it will always be a part of my life. It
Yeah.
just is. But we have kids with ADHD or autism or family members with Down syndrome, and everybody has something. And
Yes.
so just because I wear the something on the outside doesn't mean that the person next to me, who's 120 pounds, isn't wearing issues on the inside.
Right.
Mine are just visible for the whole world to see that, yeah,
Right.
it's hard. So I just feel like if one person can take that leap of, what, surgery is not so scary, it's doable, and it can help, and it can give you years of your life back, and put you on a different trajectory, then go for it. So
Do you have any social media where people can follow you or see you?
I don't have any social media
Okay.
for weight loss in general,
Okay.
but I'm on Facebook, and I love meeting new people, and am always open to anybody friend requesting me and asking me any questions they could possibly think of. I'm a pretty open book. My kids think I'm too open of a book.
So they can find you at Ashley.
Just Ashley Ekus, and
Because
I'm
okay.
on there, and yeah, pop in my messages anytime and ask anything you want.
Okay, great.
Love it. Thank you so much, Ashley, and we wish you nothing but the best, and, we will support you in any way we possibly can too.
And
Thanks,
we'd
girls.
love to talk to you when you hit your goal for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That would be amazing. I would love that so
Yeah.
much.
Oh my gosh, yes, that would be exciting.
That would
Definitely.
be awesome.
Yeah.
We will have a party with water. No, just kidding.
Lemon water and blueberry water and
We're already
relatable
ready for
water.
water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and beef jerky and water. It'll be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Well,
Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
so
having
much,
me, guys.
Ashley.